Okay, so tonight we are learning the teachings of Rabbi Tzadok in Parshat A, and tonight we're going to be talking about food. Okay, we're going to be talking about food and eating, and that's why we brought special, amazing barekas for the people that are here live. And we're talking about taivas. We're talking about people who are really into eating. We're also going to talk about people who are really not into eating, i.e., different kind of eating disorders, and how this relates to how the Torah can give us advice in how to really live a healthy, balanced life in every way. And food is an important part of life. Food is a very important part of life. You can't live without food. If you don't eat, you will die. Okay. I think I've told you that when I was in yeshiva, there was this Sephardi boy that read in some book that there was some tzaddikim that would fast from Shabbos to Shabbos, and he thought that was really holy, and I thought that would really bring him to be very close to Hashem, and then unfortunately he died. So don't do that. Okay. Now the thing is that this is the question: what is the Jewish perspective on food? What should be our perspective? What should be our relationship with food? Do we love food? Do we hate food? Is food something that's going to bring you close to Hashem? Is food something that's going to bring you away from Hashem? And that is the question. So we know that there is such a thing called taivas, right? Taivas. Anybody who learned in a yeshivish background, so you know that taivas is the bad guys. And the truth is that the source is in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says that it says that there's three things that will make the person's life not a life, and that is jealousy, lust, and the desire for honor. Okay, these three negative character traits can ruin a person's life, really ruin a person's life. The person that's too obsessed with what the Joneses are doing, so that will ruin his life. If you're always comparing yourself to other people, that will ruin your life. If you're just a lustful person, if you're just obsessed with taivas, then that will ruin your life. And if you care about status, okay, shout out to WhatsApp. That if you care about your status, I have a friend that his WhatsApp status is status. Who cares about status? And that's them. So if you care about your status, if you care about what other people think about you, so that will ruin your life. It'll absolutely ruin your life. So taivas is one of the things that will ruin your life, and one of the taivas is food, right? In Chassidus talks about three kinds of taivas. It talks about the taiva for food, the taiva for sex, and the taiva for money. Okay, those are the three major taivas that can affect a person, and those three taivas can ruin the person's life. Each of the three can ruin a person's life independently. So a person has taivas for food, it could ruin their lives, and so in this week's Parshat Rei, we learn about something called basar taiva. Basar taiva. So what's the parsha? The pasuk says in Perek Beis, pasuk Chaf, ki yarchiv Hashem elokechas gevucha kashati balach. That Hashem is going to spread out your inheritance. He's going to increase the land of Israel. V'amarta ochla basar ki se'ava nafshecha locha basar. So and then you're going to say, I would like to eat meat. Ki ta'ava nafshecha, because you have a taiva in your nefesh to eat meat. It's okay. As much as you have taivas, eat. Because you're going to be far away from the place that Hashem decided to put His Shekhinah there, i.e. the Beis Hamikdash. So what's the pasuk say? That everybody knows that it's nothing wrong with bringing a carbon, right? So a person that brings a carbon shlamim, so the carbon shlamim is a kind of carbon that if you bring a carbon shlamim, so then you also get to eat, as opposed to a carbon oil. Carbon oil you don't get to eat, but if you bring a carbon shlamim, then you get to eat the meat, at least parts of the meat. So that's clear that if you bring a carbon shlamim, then that's bringing a present to Hashem, and once you bring a present to Hashem, so then you get to eat part of it. So these people that were that were really into meat, but they didn't want to admit that they want to be that they were into meat. So they could always just bring a carbon and say, I don't care about meat. I'm just bringing a present to Hashem. Well, now what do I do now? Now there's extra meat. Okay, a mitzvah. Hashem, I love you. And so that's one way of getting your meat, by just bringing a carbon, but the thing is that what's going to be, if you're going to far away from the Beis Hamikdash, that's what the pasuk says, that that you're going to be far away from the Beis Hamikdash. It's going to be not so practical that every time that you want to eat meat, to bring another carbon, and your wife is going to kill you. So another cow, and so because it's not so practical to always come to the Beis Hamikdash if you live far away, so then the pasuk says that because you live far away, it's going to be more relevant that you're going to want to eat meat. So what's this? What's the pasuk say? So that it's okay to shecht meat and eat meat even though it's not a carbon. Now this is, believe it or not, we're used to growing up with burgers, bars, and whatever the meat restaurants you have, but this is the first time in the Torah that it's actually clear that it's okay to eat meat if it's not in the context of a carbon. Okay, so in this Parshat, the Torah is allowing us to eat meat not in the context of a carbon, and this is what the Torah calls basar taiva. Okay, the Torah allows us to eat basar taiva. Now Rashi says an interesting thing. Rashi is bringing from Chazal, from the Sifrei, from the Gemara. It says, Lamda Torah derech eretz. The Torah teaches us the way that you should be living your life. Derech eretz is the appropriate way of living life. The person should only desire to have meat when he has two things: rachvas yadayim, having a wide hands, meaning that's physical means, va'isher, and wealth. Okay, so that's what it says. That's what it says. That ki yarchiv. That's why the context of this parsha is that when Hashem is going to enhance your inheritance. Okay, that means that a person should only be wanting to have meat when they have a lot of money. Okay, so now this is before what Tzadok brings from here. So there's a very obvious thing that what Rashi is saying, and that is that it's not appropriate for a person to be living beyond their means. Okay? That there's this disease that people have, that even though they can't afford something, they feel a need to keep up with other people. That's what we talk about kinna. That a person sometimes has the tendency that they want to, for whatever reason, to show off to people, even though they can't afford something, so they're going to do it. And the Torah says that's a very horrible thing. It's a horrible thing to want to live beyond your means. Just like accept yourself, just accept your status, accept where you are, accept that this is my life, that bisameach b'chalka, that this is my reality, and that's fine. I can deal with that. Rav Shlomo Zalman said that when he was a kid, so the poverty was so great that his parents would for lunch would be that they would take one hard-boiled egg, cut the hard-boiled egg into 4 pieces. Every child would receive 1/4 of a hard-boiled egg. Okay? But Rav Shlomo Zalman said that the greatest part of the story was that none of him or his siblings, none of them felt lacking. That they all thought that it was just awesome. They were all just happy that, like, okay, thank you, mommy, for lunch. Like that was great. And like it's a very important lesson that like how your kids grow up is so dependent on your parents, so dependent on the atmosphere. The parents have the ability to make their kids happy with whatever they give, as long as they make them feel that they're $1 million. And on the other hand, you can be giving them everything and make them feel like they're lacking, and make them feel like they have a pathetic life. And it's really the atmosphere and how the kids are going to grow up is really dependent on what the parents are going to make for the atmosphere. So I remember I had this student from LA that they really suffered. They suffered with this tremendously. That she remembers her parents. That it was so critical to her father to have an expensive car. That they had no money. That they were so broke that LA is very hot, and they couldn't afford air conditioning. They were dying in the heat from from lack of air conditioning, and they were taking the money that should have been going to air conditioning, and they took the money. The father took the money to buy an expensive car, because the car is on the outside, and your neighbors are going to talk about you, and they're gonna, if you don't have a car that's up to their standards, they're going to say, "Oh my gosh, did you hear about?" And little does he know that his daughter comes to Neve and tells her rabbi on. So now you're really. So yeah, but he doesn't care what we say. He only cares what the rich LA people can say, right? So he's still okay. So that's messed up. That is extremely, extremely messed up. It's more than messed up. It's we have YouTube censors kinds of descriptions of how messed up that is, and so that's a sickness. It's really a sickness to want to live beyond your means, and that's what the Torah tells you, that the person really needs to just embrace that wherever you are, so that's great. And something that he touches on later is that a person needs to realize that Hashem is the boss. Like Hashem, if Hashem gave you that these are your means today, that means that this is how Hashem wants you to live, and that means that it's okay. It means that you're going to be okay with whatever means you have. If your means are that you can't afford to eat out, and you can just your nutrition is just going to be from vegetables and from simple foods, and so that means that Hashem decided that that's okay. And even though your roommates, so they have an unlimited credit card, and they can go to fancy restaurants every night and whatever. And like, I once had a student that her parents like told she was addicted to buying online, and like her parents like said, "Is everything okay? I noticed the credit card bill last month was $7,000. Maybe maybe you should try to cut back a little bit on your binge buying." And anyway, so a person could think that hey, they're like my roommates are eating like this, I'm eating like this, my neighbors are eating like this, I'm eating like this. So a person needs to know that Hashem is in charge. So if Hashem gave you this kind of finances, that means that He wants you to be living like this. If He gave your friends this kind of finances, that means that He wants them to be living like that. And it goes both ways. The person should always be aware of the fact that everything's from Hashem, and so and that if this is the finances that Hashem gave me, that means that Hashem thinks that it's okay for me to be living with these finances. Okay, and just embracing the reality. Embracing the reality is a very important thing, and it's certainly a very elementary state in just like having a healthy finances, and like just not like getting out of your minus. That if you could to realize like that, like just because everybody else does doesn't mean you have to do it. And like I had this student that his wife would like they had a lot of shalom bias issues, but like he had like his wife would always berate him on the fact that he would buy coffee out, and like once like she sent him like a picture of his only half drunken coffee for like 15. It costs 15 shekel instead of 1 shekel. Like if you drink coffee at home, then it only costs 1 shekel. If you eat coffee out, then it costs 12 or 15 shekel. And so she was like that. She was like ruining his life because he needed to eat his. So like if you're in a minus, so then yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, like you shouldn't be abusive to your husband because he's because he has to grow in his abilities to balance his finances, but she has a point that like if you're broke, if you're in a minus, then you shouldn't be buying coffee out just because that's what your friends do. Okay, so you should embrace the fact that that Hashem is sending me a message. Hashem knows that this is really okay for me. Okay, so that's number one. But Reb Tzadok wants to take from here that we see from this Rashi, we see from this Chazal that Lamdat Torah Derech Eretz, that a person should only want meat when he has rachvus yadayim. So it sounds from Rashi, it sounds from Chazal, that when you have rachvus yadayim, when you have the means, then it's totally appropriate to have lots of meat. Okay? So, and he has a question, that if you remember Parshat Balescha, so there was a parsha called the Kivrot HaTa'ava. The Kivrot HaTa'ava, the cemetery of lust. What's the story of the cemetery of lust? That the Jewish people, so they complain to Moshe Rabbeinu, they say, Moshe, all we have is man, I don't like this manna, I want meat. I want meat. I need meat. So Hashem said, what are they doing? Why do you want meat? So Hashem sent them so much meat that I'm going to give them so much meat that it's going to be coming out of their noses. And they started eating meat, and then they started dying, and it was a big punishment for the fact that they wanted meat. So we see from there that desire, that it seemingly that wanting to have meat is not a good thing. So, like, it seems like from there that the Torah is really propounding, is really saying that you should not want to have meat. You should like the very pro-vegetarianism, and so which is it? Is it like, should we be into meat? Should we not be into meat? There's something we actually spoke about this on Shal Shudas, that if you recall, that this is. I was listening to this guy that was like speaking about Tisha B'Av. He's talking about how like the biggest thing that we need to take, that he was saying that the biggest thing that we need to take away from Tisha B'Av is that like that so many Americans that they don't realize how tragic it is to be living in America. He was saying, all you Americans, how you're not sad about Tisha B'Av. If it wouldn't have been for destruction of Beis Hamikdash, you wouldn't be able to have your meat boards. You wouldn't be able to have your beachside whatever, like everything. No, came in the beachside. If we wouldn't have given away Gaza, then we would also be able to have the beachside. Anyway, but like he was saying that you can't be sad on Tisha B'Av. If it wouldn't be for Tisha B'Av, how would you be able to have your New York lifestyle? And so that there's something like there's something that like it's true that like in some places that they're more into Olam Hazeh, and like, hold on a second, is this what Hashem wants or is not what Hashem wants? Okay, so this is what Tzadok asks, that this desire for meat. So this desire for meat as a desire for a part of life that you can do without it, right? So many vegetarians do without meat, and it's a you could call it just extra. And so, what is the Torah's view on this element of enjoying life through meat? So the truth is that this question of how to relate to meat is really. First of all, it's not just about meat, it's about eating in general. And it's not about eating in general, it's about Olam Hazeh in general. Okay? It's about how are we to relate to our physical reality. Okay? So he says, to answer this question, of this contradiction, so he makes a deal, he makes an inference in the Parshat, that this week's Parshat in Re'eh, so it says something that doesn't say in Habal, and it says, the Pasuk says that ta'aveh nafshecha le'chol basar, and it says the second time, b'chol avat nafshecha tochol basar, that in this week's Parsha, so it talks about a taiva coming from the nefesh. Okay, and Parshat B'Leischa doesn't talk about the nefesh, so it's a taiva which is coming from the guf. Okay, so what does it mean? What does it mean, the taiva of the nefesh? So he brings the Gemara. The Gemara says a very interesting thing, that the Gemara says that in Bava Kama, that Rav Nachman, he says some idea, he says some Torah thought, and he says that I really should have thought about this yesterday, but the reason why I didn't tell you yesterday is because yesterday I didn't think of it, because yesterday I hadn't eaten meat. The reason why I didn't tell you this answer is because I didn't eat meat. So what was Rav Nachman saying? Nachman was saying that when I eat meat, I'm able to think better. I have better ideas when I eat meat. Okay? So now, what does this mean? And he brings a similar idea that the Gemara says in Eruvin, that also from Rav Nachman, that if I don't drink a certain amount of wine, then my thoughts are not clear. I don't have a clear head until I have a one revius. Okay, half a cup of wine. Okay, this is not nobody should become an alcoholic because they want to be like Rav Nachman. But he says if I don't drink a revius of wine, so then I can't think straight. Okay, so both meat and wine. So he says that it allows me to think straight, allows me to have proper thoughts. Okay, to be able to have proper, to think about, to analyze things properly, to be able to understand life, understand Torah, to understand, to just to think straight. Just my head doesn't work right unless I have meat and wine. Okay, that's precisely what he was saying. So he says that for Rav Nachman, because his brain wasn't working without meat and wine, so his words are v'haya etzlo achilat basar v'shtiyat yain divrei Torah. Because his brain wasn't working properly without the meat and wine, so for him, eating the meat and drinking the wine was for him, it was like learning Torah. Okay, because it was. So that's what it means. That sometimes your soul is yearning for something. Your soul is lacking. The reason why your soul is lacking is because your body doesn't have something. So through my body nourishing itself, so that's going to help my soul. Okay, so what does this mean? So we have to understand that what's a bad taiva? What's a bad taiva? He's comparing that this is what's okay, what's kosher is the taiva of the nefesh, and what's not kosher is the taiva of the guf. Okay, when it says the taiva is meitzir asad min ha'olam, when it says the person who's a bal taiva, the person who's a fresser, I saw this meme once that why like when you go to a kiddush, so there's always the people that have no patience, that they fill their plate with all the good stuff, obviously. Like they're the ones that like they're looking for the children. They take all the meat and also, but they don't have patience even without that. Like there's people that they think that it's all going to be gone. They think it's all going to be gone. Now, I once had we were there was like 2 years or so we were hosting a foster kid, and so she had this thing that like whenever we would put something in the table, she would grab it. And like so somebody we mentioned it to the social worker, and the social worker said that sometimes you have like kids that they grow up in poverty. So like if you don't fend for yourself, then like it's gonna be gone. So like just as a survival technique, it's like she was conditioned to just grab things. Anyway, so back to Kiddush. So this is the thing. The people that they think there's, it doesn't like it makes no sense. There's tons and tons of food for Kiddush, and yet they need to fill up their plate. They need to fill up their plate before Kiddush. So that was a beautiful meme that says, why is it that there's people? Why there's people? I told you this before. Why there's people at the Kiddush that always take before? Because there's a halacha that before you eat, you have to feed your animals. What? Okay, so at the Kiddush there's also some other dogs that they need to be fed before the human beings. Before the human beings can eat. So before.
Your animals? Like feed your animals?
No, you have to feed your animals. Like if you have a dog, so before you eat, there's halakha. You have to feed your animals before you eat.
Like they're
so they are the animals. They are not humans. So before the humans eat, the humans at the Kiddush have to feed the animals at the Kiddush, and that's why the animals have to fill their plates before Kiddush. Okay, so yes, if anybody sees this on YouTube, I'm talking about you. So there's something called the taiva of the nefesh and something called the taiva of the guf. So what exactly is this taiva of the guf? Okay, so which is not kosher. This is something we need to eradicate from our system. Okay, so there's different reasons why a person might want to eat that is not a good reason to eat. Okay, that's called taiva. That's something that we need to get out of our system. We need to train ourselves to stop this. Okay, so one is that simply that our body feels a desire for stimulation. Okay, and this is a big problem. This is one kind of addiction to overeating comes from this, that a person needs the stimulation of the body. Okay, meaning that eating, so it's something that stimulates our entire body. It's a human experience. So we're alive when we're eating. We feel our existence very much. So there's different reasons why we could want that experience of eating. So one is simply One is simply that we love the stimulation. That the stimulation of that feeling of the taste buds, the fact that our taste buds are eating something, the fact of the feeling our stomach fill up is something that gives us a kick, and that's something that person can condition themselves to get dopamine from that experience, and that leads them to always need to eat. Okay, that's on a very simplest level. That's like taivas haguf, that the body has a lust. That's on a very simple level. That would be a non-kosher reason to want to eat. Okay. Now, where does it come from? It comes from, if you think about it, it comes from a non-Torah perspective on who you are. Okay, because really we know this is one of the most basic things in Judaism is that who are you? What is a person? A person is made of two parts. A person has a nefesh and a guf, has a soul and body. Okay, so one of the most basic things in Judaism is that the essence of who you are is your soul. That you are not your body. You are not your body. You are a soul. You have a body. Okay, but you can never identify with your body. Your body is transient. Your body is transient. Certainly, if you believe in Gilgulim, in the reincarnations, like this time around, I hope this is your soul has been around many times. You know, one time I looked like that, but I looked like that, and so that your body's not you. Your body's not you, and so to say that what does it for me is when I feel my body. So that's a very non-Jewish perspective on who you are. Okay, this is very connected to the other side of the spectrum of eating disorders, of people with anorexia or whatever eating disorders they have. So the problem that this is like any psychology book, eating disorders is a mental illness. Okay, now sometimes a person has a mental illness in the way that they can't control it. And there's people that unfortunately die from anorexia. There was a girl this year, some Belmont girl that she died from anorexia. People die from anorexia, and like they know it's an illness. They know that they wish they could talk sense into themselves. Like they know intellectually that it makes no sense, and so like any mental illness. So some people have it in an extreme way, and some people have it in a way that just learning a little chassidus will solve the problem. Okay, so anybody that has a mental illness in an extreme way, so like this is not going to help them. Like I wish them Refuah Shlema, and like I hope that they get the treatment that they need. But there's people that have it in a little bit way, and like when you have it, when it's that you can still control it. Okay, and that's just you can just like learn something and just realize that my problem is the way I relate to food, and the way I relate to food is actually connected to the way that I relate to my body, right? Meaning that the same way that the person with overeating, so they relate to their body in a non-Torah way, that they say that my Torah is me, and that's why when I feel, it makes me feel alive. I feel like I'm really me when I feel my body. So when I feel my digestive system. So on the other hand, that the people with anorexia, so what's their issue? That they identify themselves with the way they look, and they identify with themselves with a certain way that they need to look, and that's why they feel that if I look not the way that I decided that I should look, so then what am I? I'm a piece of garbage. Like I don't deserve to live. Like that's not. Like my life is meaningless, and like what the heck? Like you're a soul. Your body is it's hard to talk if you don't have a body. But like you are not your body. You are not your body. Like how much you weigh is like it's a function as much as like what color eyes you have. So it's how much you weigh. But like this is not you. This is absolutely not you. And that's why like people have a tendency, like sometimes people go over by the other way. People like when they first get connected to Judaism, so then they say, now I realize that life is about values. Now I realize that like there's more to life than just physicality and sometimes I've heard students say feel embarrassed that they need to be, they feel embarrassed the fact that they want to be attracted to a girl that they go out with. They were so, it was such a new idea when they got to Judaism. It was the first time in their life that they realized that there's anything to life besides physical attraction. So they misunderstood that to think that, oh, so now I realize that the whole physical world is just a bluff, it's just a fake, it's just a lie. So so I can marry a girl that looks like a dog. And that, I told the story about the girl that looked like a dog. Yeah, different time. So, what?
I think
So a Jewish perspective is a person that has Jewish values knows that there's more to life than physicality. So that's a mistake. That's really it's really part of what Tzadok wants to say over here, that a person with extreme, let's call this a Litvish perspective, is that in Judaism we care about the soul. So if we care about the soul, so we don't care about the body. So that's not true. That's not true, because you're also a body. You have to remember that you're also a body. But let's step by step. That a person that realizes that they're a soul realizes that I cannot define myself based on my physicality. So that's regarding the overeating, that the stimulation that I get from overeating, that can't do it for me. If that's what does it to me, if that's what makes me feel like I'm alive, so then what about your soul? Your soul doesn't feel alive. Okay, that's number one. And also on the other extreme, the people with anorexia, so the people that feel like a failure, they feel like a piece of garbage if they don't have the number that they desire, they don't have exactly the figure that they desire. So they're also forgetting that, hello, that's not you. That's not you. Okay, you are your soul. Okay. So those are two. The first non-kosher reason, the first taivas haguf, the non-kosher reason to want to eat, is that I feel a certain stimulation from the fact that my body is eating. Okay. Now there's two other reasons that a person could eat, which are treif reasons to want to be into eating. Okay. One of them is anxiety. Right? Some people turn to food as a way to deal with their anxiety. Okay, meaning I'm just so caught up on my fears that I need something to make me forget about my fears. So the thing that makes me forget about my fears is eating. Okay, now how does this work? Now, a person that has fears, so what's their problem? The problem is they're living in the future. Right? So a person in extreme fear, a person has a panic attack. So a person who's having a panic attack, chas v'shalom, so what do you have to do? You have to do grounding exercises. Right? So grounding exercises to make sure that you're in the here and now. Right? So it's very grounding to eat. So when they eat, so they feel very grounded. So when they're very in the present. Okay, and it's not to be taken for granted, but a lot of times when you're eating, so then you feel presence. So then when you feel presence, then you forget about the future. So then that's the way to relieve your anxiety. Now, what's the problem? The problem is that as soon as you finish eating, you go back into the future. So then you go back to eating, and then you don't stop eating. That's not so good. A similar treif reason to want to eat. Okay, a non-kosher, a non-Torah reason to want to eat would be that a person is bored. A person is bored with their life. Okay, it's very painful to be bored with your life, to feel like you're not doing anything with your life, to feel that so eating can give a person a false sense of productivity. I did something. When you're eating, you feel like you're doing something, right? I was once before I moved to Nachlaot, I was thinking of moving to Tel Aviv. I told you, and so I would start conversations with people, and I would say, hi, I'm thinking of moving to Tel Aviv. What do you have to tell me? What do you say about Tel Aviv? So they would always ask me, well, why do you want to move to Tel Aviv? So I said, well, because I'm a rabbi, and there's too many rabbis interested. So I remember I was on like, what do you usually like? What is there to do here? What is there? So I remember like, I'll never forget this. That like one girl told me that what we do is we that our favorite thing to do is to go to restaurants. That's our thing to do. That's what we do with our lives. I mean, they work during the day. Some of them work during the day, but when we're not working, we go to restaurants. That's what we do. Okay. Hashem Yishmar. Like that's what you do. Like that's your activity. That's your activity. What I do in life is I go to a lot of restaurants. So that girl, you're bored. Get a life. Get a life. You know that's not okay. That's not okay to go to food because that's what you do with your life. So they made it sophisticated. Right? So like she realized that like it doesn't sound good to say I eat because I'm bored. So instead of eating, she switched eating with going to restaurants. That sounds more sophisticated. Okay, but it's really the same thing. I eat because I'm bored. Okay, so a person that eats because they're bored should get a life. Okay? So those are all the subcategories of taivas haguf. Those are all not okay reasons, not valid reasons to want to eat. Okay. So now, what is a valid reason? So the valid reason to want to eat is what he called ta'avat hanefesh. That what our Parshat says, ki ta'avat nafshecha lechol basar. That the taiva is coming from nefesh. Okay. So what is this? So what does this really mean? So this means is that sometimes a person, so they have a big nefesh, even if they have a normal nefesh, that your nefesh, or like Rav Nachman was saying, that his brain doesn't work properly until his body is working properly. So a person that feels like I don't feel like I'm present. I need to just feel myself. And I don't feel like I can show up to life without fueling my body. So that is called ta'ava nefshecha. That is a beautiful reason to eat. That is a wonderful reason to eat, and Hashem wants you to eat when that's your motivation for eating. Okay? I mean, a person that doesn't feel that they have enough energy and wants to eat because they need energy, that is a wonderful reason to eat. Okay? It's now in the world of nutrition. So there's something that they call intuitive eating. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
So intuitive eating basically means eat when you're hungry. Eat when you're hungry and stop eating. More importantly, stop eating when you're not hungry. Like, meaning that, like, as opposed to like that some dietitian told you, some nutritionist told you that this is how many calories that you're supposed to eat during the day, and this is like you're constantly counting your calories and calories. So the idea of thank you. So the idea of intuitive eating is that don't spend all of your energy counting calories and counting your intake. Just stop eating when you're not hungry, and then that's going to take care of 80% of your problem. Okay, meaning that if you actually ask yourself, am I actually hungry right now? I always have this with my kids. I should. Kids have this the most. Kids, like, I mean, at least my kids. I don't know. I don't remember if I did this when I was a kid. That I would say that 60% of the time that my kids ask me, "Ani rotza lachol," that I want to eat something. Like it's like it's half an hour after they ate supper. Like, and we always ask them, like, "Are you hungry? Are you just bored?" So like to ask yourself, am I actually hungry? Am I? Why do I want to eat now? Do I want to eat because it's a way to pass my time? Because it stimulates me, or because I'm hungry? So like to ask myself. So the secret of intuitive eating is to actually ask myself, am I actually hungry or not? So this is the first step of the. So this is the first step of intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is all about ta'avat nafshecha. That I'm eating because I want energy. Okay. So now the truth is that's a very high level. It's if you get to that level, then you're doing A+. You're scoring A+ in life. with your relationship with food. If you only eat because you're hungry, so that's a wonderful thing. And in fact that a question to ask yourself is that when I'm eating, that am I enjoying the food? Some people, they don't even enjoy the food. They don't. And if you ask yourself, am I enjoying the food? So then you're when you don't enjoy the food, you'll stop eating. And like that's another way to the person's way to lose weight, because sometimes people eat even though they don't enjoy the food. Like, hey, I can stop. I don't have to eat this just because it's here. If I'm not enjoying this, why should I bother? And so he talks about this, and this is really a more general thing, that in Judaism we believe that there is a connection between the body and the soul. There's a connection between the body and soul, and that's why our body is not our enemy. Our body is our friend, and we need our body. And so the thing is that so what's a taiva? What's a taiva? What's a bad taiva? Like when the taiva that's motzias adam in the olam, the thing that we're trying to avoid, the kibbutz taiva, like the cemetery of taiva. So that is a taiva that doesn't recognize the soul. Okay, if you're not aware of your soul, then feeding your body is going to kill you. Okay, because the more that you feed it, the more that you identify with your body, and the more that you identify with your body, the more you're away from Hashem. That's the opposite of living a Torah life, is to live a physical life, is to be a person who is a material girl, is a person who's like living a material life, and that's to think that life is all about, like I was once giving a class on the meaning of life. It's a Madonna song, I think. No,
yeah.
I was once giving a class about the meaning of life, and this group from Young Judea, and so after the class, obviously the purpose of my class was to realize the meaning of life, something beyond physicality, right? So meaning means the definition of meaning is the meaning of meaning is not physicality, right? So the one guy, this young Judea kid, comes up to me and says, Rabbi, the meaning of my life is to fill my body with dopamine for as many hours a day as possible. So I told him, I hope you realize soon enough that it's not going to work. It's going to fail you. You're going to be depressed. I hope you get depressed sooner than later, and then you'll come back to me and I'll teach you what the real meaning of life is. So that's that the opposite of meaning. Like he's like, the meaning is not to have a meaning. My meaning of my life is my body. So, somebody said that Rabbi Y.O. Jacobson said that we have we have a minhag on Hanukkah to have sufganiyot. So he said. So he says because the Greeks, they were all into the body. They're all into so it's to celebrate our defeat of Hellenism. So what do? We said we couldn't care less about our body. No. So the truth is that this is actually that's not a real story. That's not a real word. Because really the truth is that the more that a person realizes that the body and the soul are connected, the more they realize that a person that has a higher soul is going to have more necessities when it comes to their bodies. Okay, and that's why the Gemara says a fascinating thing. The Gemara says in Nedarim, the Gemara says in Shabbos that Ein Hakadosh Baruch Hu Mashra Shechinasei. A person is not going to give Hashras Shechina. Is never going to give nevuah. It's going to have a person that Hashem is going to talk to him. Ella al Chacham, a wise person. Asher, a rich person. V'gibor, and a mighty person. V'kulam b'Moshe. We learn it from Moshe Rabbeinu that Moshe Rabbeinu was a Chacham, he was a Gibor and an Asher. That he was rich, he was mighty, he was strong, he was big muscles. Moshe Rabbeinu had big muscles, and he was wise. Okay, so we see from here, that if you want to make it big in the spiritual world, you need to also make it big in the physical world. There's a text from Rav Kook that he had a lot of slack for this paragraph. He wrote a Torah where he's applauding, where he's writing the beauty of the the exercises, like the secular kids that are into the fitness. There's something beautiful about this new generation that it wasn't always a thing. It wasn't always a thing. The kids were into fitness. Like it's a new thing. Like it's a new thing. I mean, it's already in his time, but like it's even more now. And like 100 years ago, it was not a thing. Like the like regular people would, like if your athletes were into fitness, like it wasn't a regular thing that everybody goes to the gym. Okay, so Rav Kook saw in this a beauty, because it says that when Mashiach comes, so we're all going to have to be prophets. When Mashiach comes, we're all going to be prophets. So if we're all going to be prophets, so we have to have healthy bodies. We have to be strong. We have to be mighty. So he saw this was his ayin tova, that his optimism, that he saw in the secular kids doing their fitness. He saw that this is the generation of prophets. And because he understood that if you're going to have a higher spiritual capacity, so you need to have a vessel, and the vessel is the body. The vessel is the physical capability. So and the same is true when it comes to Ashiris. That's what we're talking about on Shabbos. That same Gemara says that if you're not rich, so then you don't have a vessel for the Hashras HaShechina, right? And that's what we said. That the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that Parnasa is for Goyim. You hear this? Parnasa is for Goyim. For Yidden, we only give brachas to be filthy rich. Okay, we're not going to we don't give a blessing that you should make it by, you should get through the month. That's Parnasa. Parnasa is to have for Yidden should be to be rich, to have lots and lots and lots of money. Okay, and so this is a person with a high spiritual capability. So they need a strong body, a strong gashmias, and strong ability, and they need to eat meat, and they need to drink wine. And if their body is not up to par, so then their soul is not going to be up to par. Okay? So now Rav Tzadok says that this is. So now we understand that there's if you read the psukim, so it's actually two psukim. The first pasuk says ki yarchiv, that when Hashem is going to expand Eretz Yisrael, and then it says ki yerchak mimcha makom, then you're going to be far away. So he says, why is this two psukim? So the simple understanding is, one is that in Eretz Yisrael, the other one is outside Eretz Yisrael. The question is that if the reason why you're allowed to eat meat is because you're too far away from Yerushalayim, so once the Torah says that if you're far away in Eretz Yisrael, then you're allowed to eat meat, even if it's not a carbon. So certainly in Chutz La'aretz, because you're even further. Why do we need the second pasuk to tell you that even in Chutz La'aretz, because you're mamish far away, it should be a kal v'chomer. It should be inferred from the fact that if you're in the north, and if you're in Tzfat, then you're allowed to eat meat. So certainly if you're in America, you're allowed to eat meat. So he says that because the whole permission to eat basar is because it's tavat nafshecha, it's only if it's coming from your soul. So then you would think that maybe that's only in Eretz Yisrael. Because in Eretz Yisrael, the fact that you're in Eretz Yisrael is going to help you that your head is on your shoulders, that you understand that when you're eating, it's really for your soul. Because Eretz Yisrael, so there's this natural, intuitive understanding that the purpose of my gashmias is for ruchnias. The purpose of my physical existence is to help my consciousness, is to help my relationship with Hashem, is to help my relationship, my ability to think. And whereas in Chutz La'aretz, a person can get obsessed with their meat parts. A person can get obsessed with their sushi, with their poppers, with their.
It's amazing that you don't even know.
I don't. What the real people?
Popper is a good one.
Popper is a good one, yeah. So yeah, how can they, like all you Americans, how can you be sad on Tisha B'Av? If it wouldn't be for Tisha B'Av, you wouldn't be able to have your poppers. So the ability to keep your perspective straight. So maybe in Eretz Yisrael, so you would think that then you're allowed to have meat because if having meat is not going to get you mixed up. But maybe if you're going to live in the Upper West Side, so then you're going to start eating meat, and then that's the end of you. Then you forget about Hashem. Okay, so that's why we need these. That's why we need these two psukim. But so the truth is like, to summarize. So that this is I would call this a Hasidic approach. I would call this like a Hasidic approach to Olam Hazeh, a Hasidic approach to the world of physicality, is that we're not scared of it. That like that our bodies is part of our existence, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about our existence as long as we know that that's not the real us. It's a part of us. It's not the essence of us. It's not who we are. So that it's not something that we need to run away from. And adrabah, that the more that your body is in check, so your soul is going to be in check, your brain is going to be in check, your consciousness is going to be in check, and so that's why that in Chassidus, one of the things the Baal Shem Tov came into the world for is the Baal Shem Tov came into the world to teach people that Hashem doesn't want you to fast anymore. Meaning that in the times of Chazal, so it would be a thing to fast. It says that Reb Tzadok, the Reb Tzadok during the times of the second Beis Hamikdash, so there was a Tzadok, Reb Tzadok, that he fasted for 40 years that there shouldn't be a Churban Beis Hamikdash. And like there's such a thing. Like the Arizal talks about different fastings and like as a way of atoning for your different sins. And so the Baal Shem Tov said, I came into the world to teach the Jewish people that Hashem has had enough with your fasting. Hashem doesn't want you to fast anymore. Now He wants you to enjoy life. Now He wants you to embrace the physicality. Right? So part of the reason for the Baal Shem Tov's revolution regarding the physical world is that one of the main focuses of Chassidus is that to elevate Olam Hazeh, that Hashem wants to have what the Lubavitch Rebbe would call the Dira B'Tachtainim, that Hashem wants to have a dwelling in the lower world. He doesn't want you to escape, to run away from this world. He wants you to live in this world, but bring Hashem into this world. That's the Tachlis. That's the Tachlis. So that if you're able to bring Hashem mamish into the most Olam Hazeh, so that's the biggest Kiddush Hashem. That's the biggest Kedusha. Okay? So this is a uniquely Hasidic approach to Olam Hazeh, and the truth is that even the Litvish world, they theoretically they agree with this. It's like this is tradition that the Vilna Gaon, his whole life he would barely eat, but at the end of his life he would eat, because his whole life he was fighting against his Yetzer Hara, he's fighting against his Taivas Achila, but at the end of his life, then he conquered his Taivas Achila. So once he conquered his Taivas Achila, then he understood. Then it's that everything that he ate it's like bringing a carbon to Hashem. Okay, so even in the Litvish world, they agree to this concept. It's just like they're less. Like they think that it's only for special people. Okay, so in the Hasidic world, so the Baal Shem Tov taught this is really for everybody. This is really for everybody, that when we say a bracha, so we're able to say that Hashem, I'm not eating because I'm not a fresser. That's not what I am. But I know that I can connect with you through this eating too. And there's something very beautiful that, like whenever I teach Mesilas Yesharim, so the first thing that he teaches is that Yisod HaChasidus Shorish HaAvoda Etzmei Mahu, that person has to know for what Hashem created the world, for what he's and the first thing he teaches is that Hashem created man lihisanik. Hashem created the world in order that he should enjoy. He says that the biggest enjoyment is to enjoy the Kirvas Hashem. But a person needs to know, a person needs to know that Hashem created man in order to enjoy himself. So a person can never feel guilty for enjoying life. Every time that a person is enjoying life, a person should never feel guilty. A person should think that this is why Hashem created me. Hashem, just like a parent loves watching the children enjoy themselves, so Hashem, whenever He sees us enjoying ourselves, so He's happy. It makes Him happy to see us enjoying ourselves in every kind of enjoyment. Okay, obviously there's treifim, there's mamish like thing averes. He doesn't want us to do averes, but a person can never feel guilty for enjoying life, and this is the most basic connection. This is the person is able by saying a bracha. But when a person is saying a bracha, what's the most basic thing that they're saying? They're making a declaration, Hashem, I know that you're with me when I'm eating. I'm not like taking off my kippah before I eat. Like I know I don't have to be embarrassed the fact that I'm being physical. That Hashem, come join me for this hamburger. Baruch atah Hashem, it's like I'm bringing Hashem into the pizza. I'm bringing Hashem into the sushi, into the poppers. So and Hashem is with me. Hashem is enjoying the fact that I'm enjoying these peppers, and this is a way that our nefesh is expanding through our guf. So really, this parsha of Basar Taiva is really it's not just about meat. It's not just about our relationship with food and eating. It's really our relationship to the entire physical existence. And that is to remember that Hashem wants us to enjoy. And the more that we're conscious of the fact that the physical world is a tool for our soul, so then we can actually enjoy more. We actually enjoy the physical world more when we realize that it's part of something bigger. Right? And this is like there's how much can you really enjoy whiskey? Just the whiskey. There's only so much, but the enjoyment that you get when you're making a l'chaim, when you're celebrating life, so is infinitely greater than any physical pleasure you can get from the whiskey. So when a person is realizing that life is much greater than the physical reality, so then they're actually enjoying the physical reality more. And so this parsha of Basar Taiva, so this is actually the secret to how to truly enjoy life. This is really how that if you really want to enjoy the physical life, so the way to enjoy the physical life is to know that there's more to life than the physical life. Okay? So l'chaim, everybody.